What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today is Wednesday, which of course means it's time for another West New York Wednesday here on the channel. And the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from Griffon Brewing, and they are out of Youngstown, New York, and this is their No Way Back. So this is a New Zealand West Coast IPA, although it's actually a double IPA, and that's because it comes in at 8.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. I don't know exactly how old this can is, but I do know it's quite fresh, and that's because this beer was given to me by Karl from Griffon at the, well, I should say not at, but after the CollaBEEration Fest V that took place at the Powerhouse in Buffalo, New York recently. So the festival is put on by Joe Yeager and the Buffalo Beer Geeks. Absolutely fantastic festival. If you've never checked it out, I highly recommend doing so next year. This is the first year I could make it to the event. The prior 2 years I really wanted to go, but I just couldn't make it happen. So I went this year. The regular fest is fantastic. Basically all of the breweries collab with, I think it's like 5 different members from the Buffalo Beer Geeks, and they come out with a cool beer that is unique and different, and usually like a one-off or something that's a specialty beer. The VIP section is just phenomenal. Like there's so many cool breweries, hype breweries from out of state, out of country. Just it's a fantastic festival. So next year, it's usually I think in April, usually like early April. I think sometimes maybe late March, but check it out next year if you have not done so. If you're in the West New York area, you owe it to yourself. Now, after the festival, we were, everything was wrapping up. I had a couple pours of this at the festival. So full disclosure, I had like probably about 6 to 8 ounces of this at the fest, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4.2 out of 5 on Untapped. However, keep in mind, my palate was shot. So, I just knew that I enjoyed it. To what degree, I wasn't really sure. So Karl and Todd from Griffon were pouring there, and, when everyone's going home, a lot of breweries will have leftover cans or bottles if they brought it instead of draft. And Karl had a bunch of cans going, and I asked him if this was going to be available, like in the stores or at the brewery, because I'd like to review it because I really enjoyed it. And he goes, I'm not really sure, but you'll get to review it, and just slid me a 4-pack. So full disclosure, he gave this one to me for free, but I will be honest with you guys, as I am with every other review. Thank you very much, Karl, for the 4-pack. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy reviewing this one today. So this one is called a New Zealand West Coast Double IPA because it's brewed with Rakau, Motueka, and Kohia Nelson. Shout out to another very good friend of mine and viewer of the channel, Curtis, who mentioned Kohia Nelson to me is actually a blend of Nelson Sauvin and dried passion fruit, and also I think Rakau hops. So it's like Nelson, Rakau, and dried passion fruit. I was not aware of it, and if I was, I don't remember being aware of it. So I love passion fruit, so I just remember this being very, these New Zealand hop forward, still having a nice dry bittering kind of like West Coast vibe to it. One of the better West Coast beers I've had in a hot minute from a West New York brewery. So we're going to see how it is poured into this. Oh, I just cracked it. I can smell it. Poured into this North Park glass. They do some great West Coast beers. So I am hoping that this one is just, like I said, just as good as I remember being on, at the fest, having a couple pours. So as you guys can see, this has a beautiful, beautiful clarity to it. We'll try to show you, with the contraband flashlight, how this hopefully looks here. Yeah, so you guys can tell how that looks now on camera, hopefully. But yeah, it has this, you're seeing, actually, I don't even really need to do that because what you're seeing on camera right now is exactly what I'm seeing. It's crystal clear. You can see my hand through it. You can see my stupid face through it. Nice carbonation. 2 fingers of this beautiful, very tightly compact bubbled head. Looks somewhat creamy. Yeah, just like again, honey gold color. Just looks absolutely fantastic. Like picture perfect for a West Coast beer of some sort. Oh, Jesus Christ. So this is what I remember when I was drinking it. It was so like fruity in that New Zealand hop kind of realm where it's like a lot of grapefruit mixed in with passion fruit, guava, lychee, pineapple. Like, it's just so, it almost smells like fruit juice. It's huge passion fruit and guava and lychee. Like those three, like I always say exotic. They're not that exotic, but like a lot of people don't mention them. I feel like your default to citrus, or you'll say stone fruit or tropical, maybe pineapple, mango, things of that nature. But I think when you get deep into these New Zealand hops, like passion fruit, lychee, guava, a lot of people, Nelson with white grapes, and then gooseberries and things of that nature. This is more like passion fruit. You could say white grapes a little bit, but this is like passion fruit to me. There is a nice like candied grapefruit, but it has a little bit of like a floral pine, like resinous quality to the nose as well. A nice underlying, just straight up white bread quality from the malts. It just smells so like clean too. Like it's just, so being honest with you, this smells way better than it had at the fest, but again, not fresh palate. Dude, this smells fucking amazing. Like this smells amazing. All right, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Karl and Todd. Two just cool guys. They'll chat with you. Todd and I had a great conversation too about like the barley wines they released and what he liked about them and stuff. It was just a great convo. And that's another thing. Most of the people there, especially for the regular part of the fest and not the VIP, had either like the owner, the head brewer, or one of the substantial brewer there. Somebody that could talk to you about like the beers and the brewing process, and just have a good chat with somebody who actually had a hand in making something like this, and it made it even better. So anyway, cheers everyone. This is fucking delicious. Listen. I've been drinking a lot of West Coast beers. I've been reviewing a lot of West Coast beers over the last 3, 4, 5 months. Don't get me wrong, California is it. You can say that there's other breweries outside of California that's doing West Coast well, and there are. I mean, some of the beers I've reviewed on the channel, from Fatheads, from Masthead, even some here in the West New York area, they're coming out with good West Coast beers. But folks in California, like Joe over at Joe's Arcade or Joe's Arcade, and other folks that in California that review beer and have over the years, they always talk about like San Diego beers, but now you can just spread it across all of California. They know what they're doing when it comes to West Coast beers. They're dry, they're bitter. Even the new school West Coast IPAs like this, they have the soul of that old school West Coast IPA, but comes forward with a bunch of fruitiness. This is a new school West Coast Double IPA that just delivers on the fruity characteristics from the hops while still remaining very dry and bitter. And it's nice to see more breweries across the country starting to bring beers like this out. Karl, I believe, was at... he used to work before he came back to Buffalo. He used to work at Knee Deep, and he knows all about West Coast beers. In fact, he was the one that opened Pressure Drop Brewing here, that has the best West Coast double IPA, or I should say West Coast double IPA, but the best West Coast IPA I've had here, period. This is his beer. This is his recipe, Sticky Trees from Pressure Drop. Probably the best West Coast IPA that I've had from a Buffalo brewery, or Buffalo-esque brewery, even Western New York brewery. So he knows what he's doing with these beers, and this is just delicious. This is just plain deliciousness. So I'm just rambling and not even talking about beer. Body mouthfeel. Body is like touch over medium. 8.5%, you can say it's a little thin, but for something like this, I want it to be thinner. I don't want it to bog down the palate. I think it's appropriate for what I'm looking for. The mouthfeel, it's crisp, it's clean. It has nice moderate to touch over moderate bitterness. It's smooth going down in the second half of the palate, but across the first 3/4 of the palate, it's a crispy boy. The taste is beautiful. White bread, omnipresent, underlying, so it's always noticeable, but never steps in the way. And it's subtle, right? It's more nuanced, and there's a skosh of it. It's not like big. But right after that, just waves to me of like a white grapefruit and a ruby red grapefruit. So you're getting the white grapefruit, bittering, pithy, rindy white grapefruit, but then you're getting a little bit of like ruby red grapefruit with sugar sprinkled on top of it. Touch of like an orange or a tangelo. Middle of the palate, get like a pop of a stone fruit, like a little bit of a peachy kind of apricot vibe, like a juicy nature of that. And then just after that, just tons of, to me, passion fruit, juicy passion fruit, slightly tart passion fruit. There's a little bit of that lychee I was talking about, a touch of pineapple, maybe a skosh of that white grape. Finishes bone dry with a straight on moderate to maybe a touch over moderately bitter. Like it's firmly bitter and dry. This is actually not, I was gonna say this is balanced, is really not. This is definitely more dry and bitter than it is sweet. That's what a West Coast IPA or double IPA should be, but it's still a new school one because all that fruity goodness, in a classic West Coast IPA or double IPA, you are not getting the waves of tropical fruit like you are in here, and the complexity to the fruit character. That's where the new school steps in. It's like, hey, it's kind of like you have a New England IPA with all the fruity goodness, but the body, the mouthfeel, and the bitterness and dryness of a West Coast beer. That's what this beer is. And I sold this one short, I guess, giving it a 4.2 out of 5, at the actual beer festival. The reason for that is because, again, your palate shot, I'm sampling all these beers, and when I was tasting it, I was probably, maybe a 10, 12 pours deep. And I'm tasting, I'm like, oh, this is really nice. This is a good job. I kept on mentioning, it has a good dryness and bitterness. I was like, I like the fruitiness or whatever. But now sitting down and dissecting this one, I hope they bring this one back because they didn't do a big batch of it. Obviously, it was a collab for the festival. They need to bring this one back. They need to make this a staple. I don't know how possible that is with the hops they're using and how cheap it is and whatnot to produce and be able to make money off of it. But this is one of the best West Coast hop forward beers I've had from West New York Brewery. Period. Great stuff. One more sip and we're gonna lock in the rating. Oh yeah, 8.5%. Maybe a very slight, chest warming sensation. Nothing on the palate. We're gonna one more sip. I'll show you the glass lacing too. Glass lacing is sensational. This is just a fucking wild beer. And I'm gonna say, like I said, I don't know how old this is, but it's under 3 weeks old. I'm reviewing this in mid-April. The festival, I think, was like April 5th, I think the festival was. So let's say they canned this one within the week prior. So this is no older than 3 weeks old, probably more than that, like 2.5 week realm. And it tastes like it. It's fucking vibrant. It's punchy. It's just deliciousness. And it's super clean too. The bitterness started to build a little bit, which is nice, especially for beer. I'm gonna go one more sip before I rate it. Man, is this fucking delicious. Holy balls. Yeah, I sold it very short. Very short. When it came to me rating it on Untappd. This might be the best Griffon beer I've had of something that's not barrel aged. Okay, so Griffon Brewing's, there's no way back. There's no way back for me for a West Coast beer from a West New York brewery after having this one. Like I'm probably going to compare most of them to this. The standard was this beer right here. And now for a double IPA, this is a standard for me. So no way back from Griffon. We're going to go high 4.5 and go 4.55. This is fucking great stuff. If you're in the West New York area and you can get your hands on this one, please do so because this is great. This is a great fucking beer. No two ways about it. Fantastic. Price point availability, fuck if I know. Like I said, Karl gave me a 4-pack. And if I had to compare it to some of the other beers at the brewery, I'd say probably around $20 4-pack, and I would pay that every single day for this beer. Like $5 a can for something this good and this delicious. Again, all the haze, you can drink all the hazes you want in New York State. There's so many good hazes available from breweries in New York State, from surrounding states, things we get shipped in from out of state. There's not a lot of West Coast beers, and this is one of the best I've had, and this is fucking phenomenal. So $20 a 4-pack, I wouldn't blink an eye. Maybe you would, but I'm just saying, for $20 4-pack, and I don't even know the cost. I'm just saying, I think it would be like $20 4-pack at the brewery. Availability, this is where I also don't know, because I think Karl said they made enough where they could, still sell it at the brewery and maybe like have it on draft at different places or, get it out to different places that buy their beer. But I don't know. I have no idea. Let's just say this. If you can't get your hands on this, let's hope, if you're a West Coast style or West Coast hop forward fan like myself now, if they can rebrew this one at some point, they need to do it. I'm not saying they're going to make this like a staple, but make this a rotating offering. Like once, twice, 3 times a year, you kick this one out. I'm telling you, as somebody who has a newfound love for West Coast IPAs and West Coast double IPAs and triples and the whole nine, this is up there with some of the ones I've had from California. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not saying it's better than those or anything. I'm just saying it's in the same realm as far as quality, as far as taste goes, as far as an enjoyability factor. This is that beer. So Karl, Todd, you guys did a fucking fantastic job with this one. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the cans, no doubt. I'm going to actually share a couple of them with other people because more people need to drink this one. Anyway, I'm shutting this one down. If you've had this one before, please post in the comment section. Appreciate everybody stopping by for another West New York Wednesday. And beers like this, and you can tell, I hope you can tell how excited I am about a beer like this because I kind of lose my shit looking off camera. This review is probably going to be somewhere in the 14, 15 minute realm. I don't give a shit. This beer deserves me spewing bullshit out of my mouth that may or may not be correct for 15 minutes because you don't get beers like this every single day of the week here in Buffalo. You just don't. It's this style, this quality, you just don't. So I got to scream from the rooftops. It's rare I do, but I have to. So huge thanks to Karl and Todd for brewing this. Karl for giving me a 4-pack of this. And like I said, if you can get this one in the West New York area, if you see this at any point, check it out. See what you think. Appreciate it. Check back next Wednesday for another West New York Wednesday. Until then, cheers.